Rick Harley, 743. With the American Red Cross, Trish Burnett joining us. Hi, Trish.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Red Cross does a lot of stuff. Usually we're talking about blood drives and things when Red Cross is on. But lately the big topic has been fire safety. And we had a couple of big fires the last couple of days here in the tri-states in Hannibal and Keokuk and Quincy. And a lot of it, started by, other heating sources other than, your traditional furnaces and stuff. And it gets cold, and furnaces have a hard time keeping up. I know that at my house. I had to sleep with a space heater on last night. That probably isn't the best idea, is it?
No, that's not the best idea. So, yeah, it's a really dangerous time of year because we are struggling to stay warm and to keep our house, as winter-proof as possible, but we really have to take time and think through how are we doing our safety and our preparedness so we're not in risk situations. And, yeah, running that space heater overnight, not a great idea.
Yeah, so that's, I probably should have shut it off or something. There's a timer on it where
yes,
it would shut off.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
we're not going to do that again, right?
Well, I set the timer and it shut it off after 30 minutes.
Okay, all right then.
Well, that's not that.
That.
I don't get an A, but I get maybe a C- for that, huh?
Yeah, definitely not an A though.
Okay, but I made sure there was no clothes blocking the path of the flow of warm air. Nothing combustible around it. My biggest problem was keeping my large cat from sitting in front of it, keeping the room from getting warm because he wanted to get warm and stuff. And and it's a newer one though too, which I don't know if that makes a difference or not. When you go buy a space heater at the store, what should you look for?
As you said, the newer ones have a lot more safety features built into them. And the important thing is to read the manufacturer directions and follow them to a T. Whatever they say to do, as far as the distance to, as you mentioned, drapes, clothing, those kinds of things, make sure it's on good, solid ground so there's no opportunity that it could tip over. I mean, you said you have a large cat. Yes, they love those space heaters, but there's a danger that they could tip it over in the middle of the night and you wouldn't realize it if it was running.
Well, it's a newer one, though. It's a newer one, though, Tricia. The one thing about it that I like is if you just bump the thing, it turns itself off.
Right, and that's the advantage of having the newer ones because through the years, obviously, those safety features have improved dramatically, but there's still an alternate heat source and there's still a danger with them. And, the other thing, I think we're all pretty winter weary. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but most of us are probably a bit winter weary.
Yeah, we are.
And that's when you become kind of complacent and you don't think about things. I mean, you come in from shoveling and maybe you pitch your gloves over the top of the space heater to dry them real quick. Not a good idea. I mean, we just have to really stay aware and realize winter will end. Hopefully the snow will be gone before April. But, it's a time of year where we really have to use extra caution because of that complacency.
And it's not just space heaters, though. There was a report a propane heater had caused a fire. And that seems like, you want to pay extra attention to having a flammable chemical in your home.
Absolutely. And the same with generators. Generators should be outside your home. If it's not meant to be inside the home, don't use it in the home. And just, again, follow the directions, know what the safety features are, and make sure you're not breaking any of the rules, so to speak. It's just easy to, when you're cold, you want to do the best you can to get warmed up, but it really is critical that you follow those directions and do everything to keep your family safe. And, another thing this time of year we recommend, too, is practice your home fire escape plan. I know it seems not fun to do in the winter, but do a quick run-through with everybody in your family. Make sure that everybody knows how to get out of the house and how to do it in under 2 minutes. Because if that smoke alarm does go off in the middle of the night, you need to be assured that people know what to do in your home.
And we found yesterday, though, fighting fires in this weather extremely difficult because, they spray water on it and it just freezes.
Yeah, and it's such a tough season for our firefighters and first responders. I mean, the bitter cold, the deep snow, there's so many challenges all across the region with the weather right now for those folks. So, yeah, we want to take every precaution we can so we don't have those situations. You know, fireplaces, has your chimney been cleaned? Have you done everything possible to keep your family safe? That's really what we want you to do first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing is you want to keep everybody safe. A lot of people well we'll just turn on some space heaters and stuff and you hear the stories of people using extension cords on space heaters or not grounding them and that sort of thing, and that could cause a problem though too because you have an electrical problem on top of a hazard.
Absolutely, and electrical fires can be so dangerous too because you might not be aware of them for some time. You know, they can smolder, they could be in the wall, that kind of thing. So really dangerous situations. So you are correct. Do not use extension cords. Make sure if you're using the power strips that you're using those correctly and have, again, the safety features turned on for those and all. It's just a really dangerous time between the cold. There's so many risk factors this time of year. And as I mentioned, we're all pretty frustrated with it. I know I am. And that's when the danger really does increase because we're not maybe as cautious as we should be.
Yeah, when the cold spell first started, like in this case 2 weeks ago, maybe we were more cautious than we are now because we're going, again, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And I know that, Red Cross sometimes, finds themselves in a situation where they're rescuing people from the cold. And you go and you got blankets and stuff to warm people up, and people find themselves out in the cold. They didn't plan for that to happen, but it did. And even if you're driving around town, maybe there's some things you should carry with you, just to make sure that you're okay, right?
Absolutely, you should have a full emergency kit in all your vehicles. Make sure you have blankets. Make sure you have some snacks that don't freeze. Like I like to carry just some peanuts and granola bars because those are good quick energy foods. You should make sure you have, a phone charger, that you have an ice scraper, that you have gloves, hats, anything you're going to need to keep yourself warm for a period of time. And the other thing that I find, even when you're not traveling far, maybe you're going to half an hour or an hour away, make sure you let people on both ends of that trip know when you're leaving and your route and your expected arrival time. It's just good, simple practice to keep yourself safe, again, because you go in a ditch and you may be hidden because of the snow, or if it's a deep, ditch area, it may take a while to get you help. So make sure that people know the route you're taking and when your expected arrival is. So if you don't get there in a reasonable amount of time, they can call the authorities and do some checking to see if there's been an issue. So, again, just really, and clean off your car before you go, frost inside and outside, and clean off your headlights, all those things.
Oh, yeah, and you talk about, I'm just going to make a quick trip, I'm going to run into town and do this, it'll be a 15-minute drive and stuff. But, essentially we're a rural community. You go from one town to another, and there are wide open spaces between the two. And you're right, you can slide off and be hidden, in a ditch or whatever. No one would necessarily see, even though you're maybe a half a mile from the next person. Then the other thing, though, is they all rave about how good their cell phone coverage is, but we know there are spots where it's not very good. And it just would be Murphy's Law. You get stuck in a spot where you have no signal.
Exactly. Or, the other thing that can easily happen, and is not something, that you really necessarily think about, but you slide off and maybe you, again, not a situation we would want to see, but maybe you're somehow pinned in your car and you can't reach your cell phone. I mean, that can happen too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, really important that you just let someone know your route, where you're headed, and your expected arrival time, so that you have that backup plan of somebody knowing, kind of where you are and what you're doing, and then they can follow through if you don't arrive at a certain time.
Absolutely.
We're Midwesterners. We think we're hardy. but we still can really run into trouble when we don't plan well. So just take that few extra minutes and make sure that you're doing everything you can to be safe, and just keep those around you and in your family safe.
Yeah, well, you're right. We are hardy when the cold weather and the sub-zero temperatures hit, but we're not hardy enough for this marathon of it that we're having, which doesn't seem to ever want to end.
No, we are not.
And
I agree.
And it's just it's just crazy. And some good advice from Trish Burnett, American Red Cross. And you've got a list of all sorts of things. You can actually print it up and take it with you and go shopping and buy the items that you need to be safe, and how to practice fire safety and just general safety in this awful winter weather. Appreciate that. And the website is what is it? redcross.org.
Yes, it is, and there's lots of good information there about all kinds of disaster preparedness, including, tornadoes and floods and things to come in the coming months.
Oh, that's right. We have that to look forward to, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do.
And it's 2021. It's not 2020 anymore. So perhaps we'll have giant red rocks from the sky falling upon us.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Let's hope not. And I just had another thought looking outside. Okay, the sun is out. Okay, and we were talking about the sun's effect on the snow, even if it's 0 degrees. That the sun rays still, the energy goes in the snow and starts melting things, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm noticing things melting around here, and I'm kind of thinking, maybe if you're walking around, watch out for icicles today too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, then we have that refreeze that can happen at night, too. And I'm not a weather expert, but we all know that is a possibility this time of year so much. So, yeah, just heads up and be aware of your surroundings and dress warmly.
Just be careful. Good advice. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us, Trish.
Thank you so much, and stay warm and take care of yourself.
All right, you too, or get warm if you're not warm yet. It's Trish Burnett from American Red Cross
exactly.
with us. News Talk 105, WGEM 754.